This is Support is Sexy, episode 56, with Neha Choudhary, founder of the Dubai-based startup Making Waves. Welcome to the Support is Sexy podcast. I'm your host, Elaine Fluker, entrepreneur, author, producer, and founder of Chic Rebellion Media. 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, I talk to women entrepreneurs who share their journeys and the true stories of their wins and their lessons, and give you insight and inspiration to take your business and your life to the next level. Here we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Support is Sexy. I am so excited to have you here. You know, it just would not be the same without you. So today we are welcoming Neha Choudhary, and Neha joins us from Dubai, where she recently started her business called Making Waves. And Making Waves is a video platform that features video interviews with entrepreneurs who are part of the burgeoning startup community in Dubai, which we rarely hear about, or I have rarely heard about until I met Neha, who is very passionate about communicating just how powerful this community is to the rest of the world, and to show the rest of the world, as she says, that the Middle East is about more than oil. So they have a lot of businesses starting there, a lot of women who are doing business in Dubai. And in this episode, Neha talks about trying to change the misconceptions of business in Dubai, but also about women doing business there. So in this episode, she talks about being a solo entrepreneur, because she just launched her business actually earlier this year. We met earlier this year, and she just launched her business officially this summer and is growing and looking at new ways to bring in partners and all these things. So she talks to us about that very early stage of the process for her. She also talks about why perceived risk is more than actual risk. She talks about how to handle the ups and downs of entrepreneurship, which we can all relate to. The importance of emotional wellness and allowing yourself the quote unquote down days. Also, how to create a routine for yourself. So Neha, for example, comes from corporate America, transitioning into being an entrepreneur. She found that adding some discipline and some structure around her routine was very helpful. She also talks about finding an offering for your market that doesn't already exist, which is what she's aiming to do, and deciding on the best platform for your business. And then she talked about realizing that it's okay to fail. We don't want to set out to fail, but failure happens. We learn from it. You move on. It is not the end of the world, only if you make it the end of the world. And lastly, one of the things that Neha talked about, the benefits of bringing in a co-founder who has strong points different than your own. So this is a really great episode. I think you'll enjoy it. I love bringing on people who are not only from different parts of the world, but who are also in different stages of their business. So without further ado, Neha Choudhary. So Neha, thank you so much for joining us on an episode of Support is Sexy. I'm excited to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
All the way from Dubai. So awesome. So now the first question that I ask everyone is, when did you first fall in love with entrepreneurship?
Yeah, so I think the first time I fell in love with entrepreneurship was during college. I went to Northwestern in Chicago, and I did an entrepreneurship class at Northwestern. And we had to come up with an idea, and I was put with a great team. And ever since that class, I knew I wanted to start something of my own one day. So, yeah.
Now, you're originally from India, right?
Correct. I'm originally from India, but I grew up between Bahrain and Dubai. So Middle East is very much my home. And then I went to the States for college, to Chicago. And then I worked in Singapore for a year and a half, and now I'm back in Dubai.
Now you're back in Dubai. Now, what was Neha like as a little girl?
Oh, I was very chatty, very talkative. As my parents would say, I apparently would not shut up. And I've always been the nerd in school. And I think that's not changed.
You've always been the nerd in school?
Yeah.
What made you the nerd, do you think? Did you just
I don't
love
know.
reading, or were you just an excellent student?
I think someone recently said, "Oh, you're quite book smart." I used to love studying, and I'm very someone who wants my A grade, and I was completely a teacher's pet. So that was me all along, and I think I still am a bit like that.
I love it. Now, how do you think living in Dubai changed or influenced your view of the world as a little girl, and of course as a young woman?
Greatly. I mean, Dubai is a very cosmopolitan city. We have 80% of the people who live here are expats. So not that many locals live here, which meant that when I grew up over here and when I went to school, I had friends of all nationalities, which was great. And when I went to college in America, I didn't have that many American friends here, but I think Dubai is a great city to help you adapt to so many cultures, religions, nationalities. So I think Dubai was a great, great place to grow up.
Awesome. Now, who were some of your greatest influences growing up?
Yeah, for me, for when my parents left India and when we've been growing up in the Middle East, we didn't have extended family over here. So we've had family friends who are extremely, extremely close to us. You know, people normally look to their family as mentors and influencers. I've been really fortunate to have some, extremely, extremely successful family friends who have been awesome mentors for me and my brother. And for us, they've become family and the people who guide us. And apart from that, I think my parents, who themselves are not entrepreneurs, have been a huge support system. You know, even though they don't understand the life of it, they've pushed me to go for it, which is pretty commendable.
Now, how did your parents end up moving the family to Dubai? Was it for work at that time, for their careers, or other reasons?
Yeah, so they initially moved from India to Bahrain because my dad is a pilot. So he moved to Bahrain for flying, and then now he's moved to Dubai for flying as well. So he's with Emirates over here. So
Nice. Now
that's why.
you mentioned that that you went to school at Northwestern in Chicago, and you studied economics and business, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Was attending a college in the U.S. an important part of your journey, do you think?
Oh, definitely. I think people say that Dubai is a little bit of a bubble, and even Bahrain can be a little bit of a bubble. I disagree with that statement, but we're fortunate enough over here, when you're coddled, I think it's when your parents are, always around helping you, and then leaving to go 14 hours away and living 14 hours away was a huge change for me. Like I said, I was lucky enough to grow up in Dubai, so I had adapted to being with people of different cultures and nationalities. So joining Northwestern was pretty easy, and I was very fortunate enough to find an awesome group of friends over there who I'm still very closely in touch with, and we're all spread around the world, but we're still very much in touch. And so Northwestern was an amazing experience.
Now, a lot of people stay, I shouldn't say a lot of people, people would think that a lot of people would stay in the States after coming to college, and even if not in Chicago, staying in the States somewhere. But one of the things, as you mentioned earlier, that you did, you moved to Singapore and you were an analyst, I think it was, at JP Morgan Chase. Now,
That's correct.
was that something that was not necessarily moving to Singapore was part of your wish, but was getting a job that went along with what you already studied in school just part of the journey, or did you have other ideas about that?
I was very interested in entrepreneurship. So when I graduated, it was definitely something that was in my mind. Having said that, JP Morgan was a great company and it was a great offer to turn down and to learn from corporate life. I wanted to do that at some point in my life, and it was great that I got that opportunity right after graduating. I knew for me, it's always been the case. I always am someone who wants to be near my family. So Singapore was much closer to Dubai than America is. So I was closer to mom and dad. It was a direct flight. It was definitely a huge part of my decision. Having said that, if anything else, if my family was in America, I wouldn't leave that country at all. So I had a great experience there.
Interesting. If your family was in America, you would have stayed in America, you think?
Definitely,
Interesting.
definitely.
So it's really for you, it's really about where your family is located and being able to be close to them.
Completely. Even when I was with JP Morgan in Singapore, I had raised my hand and asked them to move me to Dubai to the team over here. And they were very, very nice. And a year and a half after Singapore, they moved me to JP Morgan Dubai. So that was lovely.
Okay, so when you left JP Morgan, you were already in Dubai. You didn't leave Singapore. I thought you left JP Morgan and Singapore to move to Dubai. So
No,
then,
I was already, yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was already in Dubai when I left JP Morgan.
So then what was it like in that moment in 2014 when you decided to leave the company, which I thought was for a move, but obviously it was for pursuing your entrepreneurial journeys. What was that moment like for you when you made that decision?
So I moved first, obviously, with JP Morgan here. So I only left JP Morgan this year in 2016 in March. to start making waves. I was thinking about it last year. I was tired of the corporate rut. I think I definitely wanted to pursue my entrepreneurial goals at some point in life. I thought, 25 was a good age to do it. I didn't have, I'm very fortunate. I live under my parents' roof, so I don't pay rent, and it was a good time to take some risk, and I don't have a family to support. So I was thinking a lot about it. And then I started exploring some ideas while at JP Morgan itself. And then once I had nailed down my idea and knew what my passion was and what I wanted to pursue, I decided to leave the company in March, and I launched my company in June.
Wow, that's great. Now, as you mentioned earlier, your parents being very supportive, but having said that, you had, I would assume, what would be considered, quote unquote, a good job. And then you decide to leave to focus on entrepreneurship full time, which not everybody understands, especially if you're not an entrepreneur. What was their reaction like?
So my mom was very supportive. She was just like, you have to do it. If you're not going to do it now, when are you going to do it? My dad, on the other hand, was very proud of his daughter working at JP Morgan, very good job, very steady income, stability. So it took him some time to grasp the idea of why would you leave something like this? So I was very fortunate. I mean, he never said no or said, you can't do this. I explained why I was doing it. I explained my business idea to him. And, at the end of the day, while I was actually interviewing someone, during one of my interviews that I conducted, he said the perceived risk is actually much greater than the actual risk. And I agree. Today, if something doesn't work out for me and I don't like entrepreneurship and I decide I want a more stable life and a stable job, I have, 3 years of JP Morgan experience. I've done a year in entrepreneurship, 6 months actually, and I've learned so much. So I think I would be very valuable to a firm if they do want to hire me now. So it's okay. I think you can always go back to a job if you want to do one.
Right. That's such good advice and such good insight. And as you said, it's all experience. It's not like you stopped working or stopped creating or stopped having experiences because you started a business. You might actually have more experience than someone who's stayed within a certain position in a company.
Absolutely.
And as an entrepreneur, do you find that you've had to learn multiple levels of a position? You're the CEO of your company, but you're also recording the videos for your site and doing all these other things.
Absolutely. I mean, you're doing everything. You're the finance person, you're the creative head, you're the social media person,
right.
You're everything for your company. I think more than all those different skills, it's been for me an emotional learning curve. When you work for a corporate, you give your life to that corporate and you do what's been told and you execute as you've been told, especially as an analyst. When you move out of that role, I think to find what you're good at and to find, you have some days where it's just a great day at work and some days where it's just a horrible day and you're like, why did I leave that job? And you just want to be in bed the whole day. And it's those days that you need to pick yourself up and remind yourself why you did it in the first place. I think people perceive entrepreneurship and startups as very glamorous. And, you hear about all the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world and it sounds great. I think that's a very, very, very naive way of looking at it. And I think maybe I only had to get away and do it myself to understand that. So it's been tough. It's definitely been a very tough emotional journey.
And how do you how do you handle those days where, like you said, you don't feel like getting out of bed? Or I always say with entrepreneurship, with other jobs, it's usually, depending on what you do, but it's up and down across a few days. With entrepreneurship, you can be up and down within one day or an hour. You just never know what's going to happen. Things constantly change. So how do you handle all of that, especially emotionally?
Yeah, so what I've done is I've tried to maintain some structure. I wake up every morning and I pretend like I'm going to work at JP Morgan except I'm not. I wake up, I shower, I dress up like I'm going to work, even though I'm probably just going downstairs to my dining table and doing work from there. So that's something I've tried to maintain. I tried to keep routine, with my gym schedule and all of that. So I've tried to keep that to keep me a little bit more sane. And then I have a lovely support system with my friends and family. So, when it's a weekend, I treat it as a weekend. I do go out, I go for a dinner, I enjoy myself, and I treat myself like I've worked all week and this is the weekend. And I can go out. It's okay if I do. So I give myself the break, and I think that's really important. Initially, I wasn't giving myself the breaks, and I think that was not the right way to go about it. To be completely honest, there are still days where I don't get out of bed. I don't think I've completely mastered the art of picking myself up, and I hope that'll come soon, but it hasn't yet.
Yeah, no, that's honest. And there are days like that. And some days you just need to stay in bed. You know, like things are, whether it's because things are going wrong or because you did have a late night or whatever that is, sometimes we just need that kind of a break. But I think it's important, as you said, to give yourself a weekend and that kind of thing, because people think you trade a 40-hour or however many hours a week job for entrepreneurship and you just have all this free time, when really it's like you could work round the clock every single day as an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so tell us how the idea for your company, makingwaves.ae, for everyone who wants to go visit, how did the idea for your company come about and what is it all about?
So last year, when I said I was, excited to pursue a new idea and maybe start something of my own, I decided to look at the problems that existed already in Dubai and see if there were solutions. And I realized that I actually had a lot of the ideas that were coming into my mind already existed, whether it was an app idea or whatever, it was already there. And I was like, oh, but why didn't I know about it before? So I realized there was no platform for startups and founders to tell their story about their idea. So that's where the whole idea came from, that I wanted a platform where startups could voice what they're doing and people could learn from these founders and their journeys, especially in this region, because this region, every country has its advantages and disadvantages, and people needed to hear from founders from here of what they're going through and the challenges that they're facing directly. So that's when the idea formed. And then I decided to create a video platform for these founders to tell their stories. So it's short videos where I explore what their idea is and what their journey is, and they give, advice to other startups over here. So I do short videos on upcoming entrepreneurs as well as some established entrepreneurs in the region, so they can give advice to people like me. And the reason I focused on video is our region has the highest YouTube consumption per capita in the world, which is it's a great statistic to, capitalize on. So I decided that video was definitely the focus. We have high internet speeds here, etc. So video is very easy for people to access on their phone. So I definitely decided that video was the medium I wanted to use. I do have articles on my website, but I realized reading is not as much, is not prevalent here. People don't read as much as, say, they do in India, for example. So video is definitely the focus. And I hope to be producing more short videos, inspiring people and, meeting all these amazing founders who've also left these great jobs and are taking these risks to solve problems in the region.
That's awesome. Now, the video, is it a certain type of video or different categories that are most popular that you saw within your research?
So the videos, what I understood from the research was that short videos right now, especially for the millennials, you have to be focusing on short videos. I first decided that I wanted to do 10-minute interviews, and I was like, no one's going to sit and watch through it unless, they're very, very interested in that individual. Also, now the videos are mostly like, for example, Facebook has automatic video play. So you must have short videos for your social media purposes. And that's what's working. People like Now This News and AJ Plus and, the BuzzFeed Tasty videos, which are so amazing. Those are very short, to the point, with writing on it. You might not have to hear the sound. So I want to create those type of videos for this region, but giving powerful messages from these inspiring entrepreneurs. So that's the format that I've looked at so far.
That's wonderful. Now, short being 5 minutes or less, or 3 minutes? I know most of yours, I think, are about 3 minutes or less.
Correct. So, actually last week, the one I released was, I think, a little over 4 minutes. And that's normally my cutoff is 4 minutes, but it was just so interesting I couldn't edit more. So I do like to keep the cutoff at 4 minutes. And then I have like a short version of it, which I use for social media purposes, of a 1 minute teaser. And I keep the longer videos on YouTube. So that's generally the format we're going. We're testing out a few different ideas to see the different lengths and, when people click off and when they lose interest. But I do think 3 to 4 minutes is a good duration.
Awesome. Now we'll have a link to your website, makingwaves.ae, and then also your YouTube channel. Do you want to? I'll have a link to that as well, but do you want to tell everyone what that is?
Yeah, it's Making Waves.
Oh, great. Perfect. I love that.
Yeah.
All good synergy.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Now, you feature men and women who aren't necessarily, well, I guess, are they from the Middle East? Like, because it's very diverse, the people that you have featured. Is it that they're all living now in the Middle East, or do they have to be from there?
Correct. So, like I said, Dubai especially is mostly
Expat.
expats. So the people I feature on my website just have to be living in the Middle East. They don't have to be from here. You, for example, in Dubai, it's going to be a little harder to find people locals from here compared to other countries in the Middle East. So my rule is just that people have to be living here and have to be pursuing an idea that's solving a problem in the region.
Now, what do you think people misunderstand about entrepreneurs in Dubai, in the Middle East in particular?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of misconceptions actually. I was in New York this summer and I was just talking to people, explaining my idea, and they were like, "Wait, what? You guys have a startup community?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's actually really, really big." There's a lot of stuff happening here. And it's very, very exciting. And unfortunately, the misconceptions of the Middle East can be around, politics and oil and, so it's sometimes people think that we're not creating anything new, etc. But there's a lot of innovation going on over here and a lot of money being spent and a lot of funds being raised for startups. So I definitely think that's a misconception that community doesn't exist here. It very much exists. And I think it's a very large one. I think it's a growing one that hopefully the rest of the world will know soon.
Right. And it's also beyond travel, because people think now as Dubai is the place you go visit and leave, but not necessarily like what you're showing, the community and specifically entrepreneurship there.
Absolutely. And I think it's another misconception that, as a woman, it's hard to do business over here, especially in the Arab world, which, again, I completely disagree with. I do agree that in some communities, maybe it'll be tougher for women to pursue their entrepreneurial goals. However, I've not faced a single issue. Leaving my job and starting my own company, there has not been one time where I felt that I was disadvantaged because I was a woman.
Interesting. I know one of the challenges that you and I discussed I think it was this summer,
Yeah,
previously, is getting some women, though, in the Middle East to talk about their businesses has been, on video, I should say, has been a challenge at times.
right.
But you said,
Yes.
sorry, go
So
ahead.
some women have not wanted, including myself. It's just you find it hard sometimes to go in front of camera and just camera shy and may not want to talk about their business in person with their video being released everywhere. So I've definitely had a little bit of challenges for that. But if I go to the younger upcoming entrepreneurs, I don't find that challenge at all. I feel like they all understand that's great marketing for their startups as well. So I think it's the millennials have no issues with it. I think it's the older generation that still might be a bit camera shy and may not, want to come in front of the camera for interviews.
Right. So that, and especially because that generation, it's just video is such a part of the culture.
Correct.
Yes. Now, what do you hope people who visit makingwaves.ae experience and learn when they visit?
So my main goal, I mean, especially for, people who visit who are not from this region, I really want them to see what we're creating and what we're doing and how inspiring people are over here. I'm very, very proud of the videos that I have on the website. And, I watch them over and over again. And I think it's what people are doing here is really awesome. And that's what I hope to show people, sitting in America, or sitting in India, or sitting in Singapore, saying that, the Middle East is not all about oil. It's so much more that's happening over here. People are creating new things. There's innovation going on. There's very, educated people who have come back to this region and are now solving issues over here through technology. And I think that's something that people need to see. And I hope people see that when they come and watch those videos.
And the videos, I have to say, are very well produced. They're really,
Thank you.
I'm a video person. I love video. So they're very, very well done. And like you said, you use a shortcuts of your video, but you get a lot of great information in there.
Thank you. Yeah, I hope so. And I just hope like people can see the diversity of people over here as well.
Yes, that was one of the things too I wanted to remark on, which is great to see. And the diversity of the people, but also of the industries, because you mentioned technology, but then you also have an artisanal donut company. And then you had another company that was it was either a pop-up shop or they're a clothing company that uses pop-ups
Yep.
to do their promotion. So what kind of businesses and industries do you really see blossoming there in the Middle East and in Dubai in particular?
So Dubai in particular, you see if, anyone comes and visits, they just see there's so many restaurants and bars. That's what like Dubai is known for. Like, people come here and visit and there's just so many places to go out and eat. So that's an industry that the F&B industry is really, really large over here. Technology is a space that is growing rapidly. I think that's one space that, the startups I've met some really, really great talent in that space. You'll have a lot it's more the demographic is much younger of those founders, but it's very, very interesting to meet those people. And then another big trend that's happening, which I see a lot more startups doing, is fitness. People are very concerned. It was the same thing in the States, when like a decade ago when everyone was on the fitness bandwagon, and it's happening over here as well. It's definitely an industry that people are going into and starting, a lot more yoga studios and Pilates studios. You'll see a lot of that. But I definitely think the F&B industry over here is very, very, very big.
Is it people opening conventional restaurants, or are people looking at other innovative ways to get involved in the food and beverage industry?
So you'll have a lot of the typical franchises that have come, from the States over here. If you walk into a mall in Dubai, you'll be like, wait, this is all the stuff that's in America, or this is all the stuff that's in Europe too. So it's all the typical franchises that exist over here. But apart from that, I think you're seeing a little bit more innovation with people trying to come up with new concepts and new ideas. I would still say it's based on like franchises and known restaurants, especially, known higher end quality restaurants. Those exist over here. But now I think people are trying to come up with new ways, new ideas for people like me to have new experiences with their food.
Mm-hmm. Now, what would you say the greatest lesson having a business has taught you about yourself as a woman?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many lessons I think that I've learned in my short journey so far. And I think the main lesson that I've learned is, like I told you, I was the nerd in school. I think the main lesson that I've learned is, no, I'm not good at everything. And some days, it is okay to fail. I think that is the biggest lesson that I've learned. I don't think it has anything to do with being a woman. I think it's just a person who's moved into the entrepreneurial life. As a woman, I think the main thing that I've seen is the thing that I think is the coolest and that I've learned is that I have faced no disadvantage in being my gender in this region, which I think is so, so great. That as a woman, if I want to get, if I have to get a meeting with someone and, if I'm pitching my startup idea to someone, etc., there's no change to how someone would react to me versus a male, which is great.
Interesting. Now, one of the videos I remember, I can't remember who said it, but one of the gentlemen in the video said that failure is an option. And I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah.
He said it was sort of part of the journey and something that's necessary, especially as an entrepreneur, because you can learn from it.
Absolutely. I mean, I think there's some days where I get no's, only no's, and no responses to my email. And that drives me crazy because I'm from the corporate world where everyone will respond to your email. So I need to get used to that. And I think that's a huge lesson. And I've definitely learned it the hard way. A few days where I've just cried and been like, what? Why is no one listening to me? Why is no one emailing me back? But then there are days where I've reached a stage where I'm okay with it. That's part of the journey. Some people will believe in your idea, some people will not. But as long as you believe in your idea and you keep going, I think that's the main thing.
Yes, I have another friend who says that no is just a part of the process. He's an artist and he creates work and sculptures. And he said that this is, no is just a part of the process. You hear a no, but that doesn't mean that it's the end. It's only the end if you decide that it's the end.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So now what do you need the most around your business? Are you looking for investors? Because you mentioned sending out emails and that kind of thing. Are you looking for partners? What kind of support does your business need right now?
So right now, I think I made this very clear to everyone around me as well.
Uh-huh.
I'm a single founder, so I'm the sole founder of my company. Um, if I were to do things differently, I think, having a co-founder or a partner is really, really important because um, it gives you someone on the journey with highs and lows. You need someone to pick you up. And unfortunately, that can't always be my friends and my family. I can't always have them do that for me.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, I would say the single most important thing that I'm looking for is a co-founder for the business. I've met so many people who have been interested in doing it, but it's my baby, so I'm very picky with who I'm going to choose to, partner with. So that's something that I'm going through the motions right now. In terms of investing, I don't need investors right now. I'm bootstrapping. So that will remain for the next few months as well.
What do you look for it's almost like dating. What do you look for in the
Yeah.
ideal co-founder? Or what are you looking for, I should say?
I'm from the world of finance, so I'm definitely a numbers person, and that's definitely what I'm good at. I think that's a strong point of mine, and I think I need someone who is going to take over the creative aspect and try to innovate with the videos and sort of take charge of that side of the business while I take charge of the monetization and the revenue and ways to get sponsorships, web sponsorships for all our web series, et cetera, et cetera. I can focus on that and pitch the idea, and I think that's my strong point. And I would love to have someone who could take care of the creative aspect of it and take care of the video production side so I don't have to spread my wings too thin.
How are you going about searching for that person? Is it through connections or people that you meet along the way?
Yeah, completely. I'm using connections, and when I meet people and I ask them, I explain what I'm looking for, and if they know anyone who fits the bill, I interview them, and then we're going through periods of working together, and then we'll see, like you said, it's a marriage, so it's really important to see how we work together, if we have complementary skills, do we have a similar skill set, because you don't want that either. And the main thing I'm looking for is passion.
Mm-hmm.
If someone who's dedicated and passionate, then they'll work very hard for their company. So that's the main thing I'm looking for.
Excellent. Now, if there's one thing you wish someone would have told you about entrepreneurship, what would it be?
Oh, there's so many things. I think it was one thing that I really, really, I mean, there are single founders out there who do really, really well. But me as a person who needs people around me, and I need that teamwork and I need that support system. For someone who knew me, I feel like someone should have said, you need to go in this with a partner and someone to do this together and split the work. I think that was definitely a key lesson that I've learned.
Was there any part of you in the beginning that thought, because I know I've gone through this and I know many women entrepreneurs who have, no, I want to do this on my own. This is my baby. I'm going to do it. That kind of thing.
Completely,
Right.
completely. I thought I could, yeah, I thought I could run the whole thing by myself, and this was me. This was all me. Yeah, completely.
One of the things I always say now for support is sexy is having it all doesn't mean doing it all alone. So
Correct.
remembering that's in business too.
Yeah.
Great. Now, what does your support network look like? You mentioned earlier the importance of being around your friends and having some time and family, of course, on a weekend, but more so around your business. What does it look like?
Yeah, so I have like friends of friends, some people who are in the VC space who, are meeting startups all the time. So a friend of a friend constantly advises me. I meet him once a month. And I was telling my mom, I met him last week, and I was like, oh, when I meet him, I feel like it's therapy because he understands what I'm going through. And he's a third party who's not part of my life, who gets what I'm going through. And I think that's really, really important to have a third party, who I meet frequently. Who understands that. I'm also looking, I haven't chosen yet, but there are different startup community meetups around Dubai, which, I just have to choose the one that I want to be a part of. And I'm definitely going to look into that because, again, you can meet people who are going through the same struggles as you. And as much as my parents can be like, we're here for you all the time, you might need a third party to who completely understands what you're going through at that point. So I'm definitely going to look into joining one of those communities.
That's smart. And I think to your point, having people, you have the people there who love you and friends, family, and that kind of thing. But other entrepreneurs is really what you need. Even if they're in a different business, there's certain parts of it that
Absolutely.
just only entrepreneurs understand, or creatives and that kind of thing. Now,
Absolutely.
what's next for you? What are you most excited about today?
So next, we're looking to start. I want to start a few web series, episodes where I'm talking on certain topics. So, for example, like you said, there's misconceptions about the Middle East. So I want to start a few web series breaking those misconceptions and getting those videos across to people around the world. I think that's really, really important. I'm also looking at partnerships with some leading media people in the region who are very, very well-known names. I'm obviously so new. So for me, it's harder to get that audience that these guys already have. So there are great talks going with these few organizations. Now I release one video a week. I would love to increase that frequency. Unfortunately, because it's just, right now it's just me. So it's hard for me to release more than one video a week. I would love to expand my team, produce, quality videos and increase the frequency of the content that we're releasing.
I love that. Thank you so much for your time today and sharing your story and what you're creating, and the fact that I love the idea of people being open to opportunities and what's already occurring in other regions of the world.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Now, one other question in closing up. If you think over your life and career and you had the chance to thank only one person whose support was critical to you personally or professionally, who would that be and what would you say?
Oh, this one's so easy. It's my mother, unfortunately. Might be a cliched answer. No, it's completely my mom. She's someone who gave up, she got married very young. She got married at 21, had me at 24, and she gave up, her career aspirations just to raise my brother and I, which is commendable. And now she's doing very well in her career, and she's not an entrepreneur herself, but yet the support she has given me to leave, my stable job has been amazing. So definitely my mother.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. So tell us now, how can we support you? I'm going to have links to the website, all of your social media, to your YouTube channel. Is there anything else that we can do to support you?
Oh, it's just spread the word about Making Waves. Go see our videos, see what is being produced in the Middle East. I think that's really important. And and critical feedback, we're very, very open to critical feedback. People always like, yeah, the videos are great. Anything else you guys would love to see from the Middle East, please do let us know.
How can people let you know? Is it by commenting on the videos on your website?
Yeah, you can comment on the videos on the website. There's an information contact us section over there where I receive the emails, and you can shoot me an email, and I would love to hear from you.
I love it. Thank you so much for the work you're doing to spread the word and change perception. I think that's important. I'm a very big proponent of people controlling their own narratives and shaping the way their narratives are expressed to the world.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Now, lastly, a parting piece of advice that you have for our listeners?
I think I would love, especially for your listeners and your audience, I think I would love to say that the Middle East is a lot more than, what it's perceived to be. There are so many women entrepreneurs here, so many male entrepreneurs here who are changing so many things using technology. Come visit and see, the infrastructure is great. And I think my parting advice to anyone out there who is interested in entrepreneurship is it is okay to fail if you leave it, and you have those days of being very lonely, and it's a very lonely journey. That's normal, and keep going. I think that's really, really important. Those things are very, very normal, and you just have to keep yourself going.
Awesome. Keep going. Neha, thank you so much. Hold on for just 1 second.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for listening to that episode of the Support is Sexy podcast. And I do hope that you got some inspiration from it. And the challenge is for you to do at least one thing. Take one thing from the episode, at least one thing. You can always do more, but at least one thing that will help you move one step closer to your dream. Whether that's launching a business, writing a book, whatever that thing is that you want to do, take something from this episode and move one step closer. And what I'll also ask of you, if you can tell me what you think about the episodes, what we've been doing, what you want to hear, what you like, what you experience while you're listening, go over to iTunes, leave us a review, and let me know what's going on. What are you thinking? What are you feeling about the show? What else can I do to be of service to you, which is what this is all about, to be of support to you. That's our buzzword, right? You can also go to our website, supportissexypodcast.com. That's supportissexypodcast.com. Hear more episodes there. Also have a bunch of great videos, tons of information. It's where I'm going to be spending a lot of time, and it's where I love to connect with you. So again, thank you so much for listening. I truly appreciate you and your support. And the most important thing I want you to remember is having it all does not mean doing it all alone. So now, go out there and create something sexy, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.